Right, listen here. Here I am, struggling to keep up with my energy bills, whilst this self-taught engineer has built a company worth $21 billion. A bloke from New Zealand who never finished university has quietly built the perfect complement to Elon's incredible vision. Peter Beck, a mechanic who learned rocket science from library books, has somehow become essential to the space economy that SpaceX created. While SpaceX has achieved an incredible 521 successful launches with a 99.4% success rate. This is a man who left school at 17, worked in a dishwasher factory, and taught himself rocket engineering because he was bored. SpaceX has been pioneering breakthrough technologies that would transform humanity's relationship with space, and Beck saw that there was a completely different market emerging for small, frequent launches, and he accidentally built exactly the right company at exactly the right time. SpaceX rightfully captures headlines with their incredible achievements. 93 successful launches out of 96 attempts in 2025 alone, targeting 180 orbital missions this year, and a $400 billion valuation that reflects their revolutionary impact. Meanwhile, Beck's Rocket Lab has quietly become the second most frequently launched US rocket, with 68 total missions deploying over 1,700 satellites and a market cap that's exploded. Beck started building small rockets in 2006, but instead of trying to compete with Elon's genius, Beck realized there would be massive demand for something completely different: specialized rockets for small satellites. The smartphone revolution created exactly that market, and Beck had accidentally built the perfect solution. Today, Rocket Lab stock has surged 800% in the past year. The company employs 2,100 people and launches satellites with 94% success rate, while SpaceX continues their incredible work with over 6 million Starlink users and ambitious Mars colonization plans. It's like watching two complementary masterpieces, one focused on revolutionary breakthroughs that will get us to Mars, the other ensuring all our satellite-dependent technology actually works. So if you fancy hearing how a self-taught mechanic found the perfect business niche alongside the most revolutionary space company in history, do us a favor and subscribe. You'll want to stick around for this tale of how brilliant timing and practical engineering created the ideal complement to SpaceX's world-changing vision. Peter Beck's beginnings were remarkably humble for someone who would build a space company now worth $21 billion and employing 2,100 people. Born in 1977 in Invercargill, New Zealand, literally one of the most remote places on Earth where people actually choose to live, Beck showed early signs of the mechanical brilliance that would eventually create the perfect complement to SpaceX's revolutionary work. His father was a gem cutter, his mother worked various jobs, and young Peter demonstrated the sort of hands-on curiosity that would prove essential for rocket development. The lad was constantly taking apart radios, building go-karts, and showing the kind of practical engineering instincts that would later enable him to build rockets that have deployed over 1,700 satellites. But here's where Beck's story takes an extraordinary turn. He left school at 17, not because he couldn't handle the academic work, but because formal education felt inefficient when there were actual things to build and problems to solve.
How on earth do you build a rocket company quietly, now worth $11.5 billion, let alone with no college degree nor connections in the space industry?
Well, it's pretty easy in some respects, Dave. It's just all about execution.
Instead of university, Beck went straight to work at Fisher & Paykel, making dishwashers and washing machines. Working in appliance manufacturing might not sound like aerospace training, but Beck was learning something universities don't teach: how to make complex mechanical systems work reliably in the real world. He was designing tooling, solving manufacturing problems, and understanding how to build products that had to function perfectly for years. Skills that would prove invaluable when building rockets with 94% success rates. But Beck wasn't content just making appliances. In his spare time, he started reading everything about rockets and space exploration. Library books, internet forums, technical papers. anything he could find about orbital mechanics, propulsion systems, materials science, and electronics. The remarkable thing is that Beck taught himself genuine rocket science through pure determination and curiosity, not by sitting in lecture halls, but by actually building things and learning from spectacular failures. His neighbors must have thought he'd lost his mind, this mechanic setting off experimental rockets in suburban New Zealand, while SpaceX was beginning their revolutionary work with proper facilities and massive funding. Beck was developing real expertise through hands-on experimentation. He understood what worked and what didn't because he'd built it himself, tested it, and learned from the results. This practical foundation would prove invaluable when building a company that would eventually achieve 68 successful orbital missions. By his early 20s, Beck had taught himself more about practical rocket engineering than most aerospace graduates learn in formal programs. He understood manufacturing constraints, cost considerations, and reliability requirements because he'd actually dealt with them firsthand. Knowledge that would later enable Rocket Lab to become the most frequently launched small rocket in US history. The brilliant aspect of Beck's self-taught approach was that he didn't know what was supposedly impossible. University programs often emphasize limitations and constraints, but Beck missed those lessons entirely. He just saw engineering problems and got on with solving them, an approach that would eventually create a space company with $466 million in trailing 12-month revenue. This unconventional education would become Rocket Lab's fundamental advantage. While competitors hired expensive PhDs who knew the proper way to build rockets, Beck would focus on hiring people who could actually build things that worked, an approach that has led to over 150 years of cumulative satellite operation time using Rocket Lab technology. Beck's practical foundation prepared him perfectly for what was coming. The space industry was about to experience the revolutionary changes that SpaceX would lead, creating opportunities for companies that could think differently about rocket design and manufacturing while serving the specialized markets that breakthrough innovations would create. By 2006, Peter Beck had decided that building dishwashers wasn't ambitious enough. He wanted to build rockets, not just hobby rockets, but proper orbital rockets that could deliver satellites to space. The fact that he had no formal training, no investors, and was living in New Zealand didn't seem to concern him, even as SpaceX was beginning their incredible work that would eventually result in 521 successful launches. This was the era when SpaceX was starting to revolutionize the space industry with their brilliant vision of reusable rockets and Mars colonization. Elon's company was rightfully pursuing breakthrough technologies that would enable the kind of transformational missions that could make humanity a multiplanetary species. Beck looked at SpaceX's amazing early work and had a crucial insight. Whilst Elon's company was brilliantly focused on revolutionary capabilities that would enable Mars exploration and heavy-lift missions, there was going to be a completely different market emerging for small, frequent launches. Instead of trying to compete with SpaceX's genius, Beck saw a complementary opportunity. The established space industry was naturally focused on SpaceX's revolutionary approach and the potential for breakthrough innovations that could transform space access. The future clearly lay in the kind of ambitious capabilities that SpaceX was developing with their Falcon rocket program. But Beck had spotted something that would perfectly complement SpaceX's work. Technology was miniaturizing rapidly. Satellites would inevitably follow the same trend, creating demand for specialized launch services that would support the space economy that revolutionary companies were creating. So whilst everyone was rightfully inspired by SpaceX's incredible early achievements, Beck started Rocket Lab with the idea of serving a completely different niche. His first office was his garage, and his first employees were friends who thought rockets sounded more interesting than their regular jobs. The business plan involved building a rocket called Electron that could deliver about 300 kilograms to orbit.
So this is our rocket. It's called the Electron. It's a small launch vehicle for lifting these small payloads into orbit.
And the key here is not the size of the rocket, the key here is frequency. If you actually want to democratize space and enable access to space, launch frequency is the absolute most important thing out of all of this.
That's tiny compared to SpaceX's brilliant Falcon 9, which can handle over 22 tons. But Beck's insight was that the space economy would need both revolutionary breakthroughs capabilities and specialized services for smaller payloads. The early years were absolutely brutal. Beck was building rocket engines on an impossibly small budget, manufacturing components in workshops around New Zealand, and dealing with skepticism from anyone who understood how challenging the aerospace industry actually is, especially compared to SpaceX's well-funded development program. Investors were understandably reluctant to fund another rocket company when SpaceX was demonstrating both the potential and the enormous challenges of space ventures. Beck didn't have the credentials, track record, or connections that venture capitalists typically required for such ambitious projects. But Beck kept building, developing innovative manufacturing techniques that would make rocket engines affordable without compromising the reliability that would eventually achieve 61 successful launches out of 68 attempts. He figured out 3D printing methods for complex components and created a company culture focused on rapid learning.
We also managed to be able to 3D print these rocket engines. So that each one of these engines is 3D printed out of Inconel superalloy, and right now we can print around about one engine every 24 hours.
The breakthrough came when Beck managed to build engines that cost a fraction of traditional ones, whilst delivering the reliable performance. This wasn't just clever engineering. It was a fundamental reimagining of how rockets could be manufactured for specialized applications. By 2009, Rocket Lab had successfully tested rocket engines and was progressing toward the orbital capability that would eventually deploy 232 satellites via the Electron rocket. Beck had proven that small rockets could be built cost-effectively in New Zealand, serving the specialized market niche that was emerging alongside SpaceX's revolutionary work. The space industry was naturally focused on the incredible breakthroughs that SpaceX was achieving. Beck wasn't trying to compete with those world-changing innovations. He was building complementary capabilities for the different market needs that SpaceX's success was helping to create and legitimize. Beck was building the specialized infrastructure that would be essential for the space economy that visionary companies like SpaceX were making possible through their revolutionary achievements. His work would prove to be the perfect complement to the breakthrough innovations that were transforming humanity's capabilities in space. Here's where Beck's story becomes truly extraordinary. Whilst he was building small rockets for practical engineering reasons, the technology revolution that SpaceX's success had helped legitimize was creating exactly the market he'd been preparing for. The smartphone era was dawning, and it would need satellites, lots of them. In 2007, Apple released the iPhone, and suddenly everyone expected devices that worked everywhere on Earth. GPS navigation became standard, social media demanded constant connectivity, and the Internet of Things started connecting everything imaginable. SpaceX's revolutionary work was making space more accessible, just as demand for space-based services was exploding exponentially. All of this required satellites, not the massive, expensive ones that had dominated space for decades, but small, specialized satellites that could be launched frequently and replaced regularly. The smartphone revolution was creating demand for satellite constellations that would perfectly complement the breakthrough capabilities that SpaceX was developing with their Falcon program. Planet Labs started building tiny satellites for daily Earth photography. Skybox Imaging wanted commercial satellite imagery. Universities began launching CubeSats so small they fit in your hand. Suddenly, dozens of companies needed exactly what Beck had been building: affordable, frequent launches for small payloads that couldn't justify SpaceX's larger rocket capabilities. The timing was absolutely perfect, though Beck hadn't planned it that way. He'd started building small rockets because the engineering made sense, not because of brilliant market prediction. The massive market that emerged, now generating $466 million in trailing revenue for Rocket Lab, was pure serendipity. Traditional rocket companies were focused on the revolutionary breakthroughs that SpaceX was pioneering with reusable technology and ambitious Mars missions. Their capabilities were perfect for the breakthrough missions that would transform space access, but they couldn't economically serve the emerging small satellite market that required different solutions. This was brilliant for many applications, but constellation operators needed dedicated launches to specific orbits at specific times, requirements that called for specialized solutions. Rocket Lab's Electron could launch small satellites whenever customers needed them, to whatever orbit they specified, without waiting for rideshare opportunities. It was the specialized service that made SpaceX's broader revolution practical for everyday commercial use. The market transformation accelerated as satellite technology improved rapidly. Small satellites became incredibly capable whilst getting cheaper to build. Companies realized they could deploy constellations more economically than single large satellites. By 2010, the small satellite market was growing exponentially, but there weren't dedicated launch options available. SpaceX was rightfully focused on their revolutionary large rocket capabilities that would eventually serve over 6 million Starlink users, while Beck's Rocket Lab was the only company seriously developing specialized small satellite launch services. The vindication was gradual but overwhelming. Every month brought new companies needing launch services. Industry conferences featured presentations about small satellite constellations. Publications began writing about the small satellite revolution as a crucial component of the space economy that SpaceX had helped legitimize. Beck went from curious outlier to absolutely essential service provider. The mechanic who taught himself rocket science had positioned his company perfectly to serve the specialized market that SpaceX's revolutionary work had helped create, a market that would eventually drive Rocket Lab's stock up 800% in a single year. Because Beck had started building small rockets before the demand was obvious, he had years of head start over potential competitors. By the time everyone realized small satellites represented a massive opportunity, Rocket Lab was already approaching the 68 orbital missions they've now achieved, whilst others were writing business plans. The accidental profit had found the perfect niche alongside SpaceX's world-changing innovations. Beck had built exactly what the new space economy needed to function effectively at the specialized level that complemented SpaceX's revolutionary breakthrough capabilities. By 2015, Peter Beck found himself in the remarkable position of building exactly what the space revolution needed alongside SpaceX's incredible achievements. Beck was perfecting the specialized services that made the new space economy practical for smaller scale applications. The contrast was fascinating and perfectly complementary. SpaceX was capturing global attention with dramatic launches, breakthrough innovations like their reusable Falcon 9, and inspiring visions of humanity becoming a multiplanetary species. Meanwhile, Beck was developing the reliable, frequent satellite launch services that would eventually power more than 1,000 spacecraft and deploy 232 satellites via Electron missions. Beck's approach was designed to complement rather than compete with SpaceX's brilliance. He wasn't trying to match their revolutionary Mars exploration goals or their incredible launch cadence of 93 missions in 2025 alone. He was solving the practical problem of getting small satellites to orbit efficiently and reliably. The media attention difference was entirely understandable. SpaceX's incredible achievements in reusable rocket technology, their $400 billion valuation, and their inspiring Mars timeline deserved the headlines and global recognition they received. Meanwhile, Rocket Lab's steady progress served the specialized market that had emerged alongside these revolutionary developments. But Beck had discovered advantages that came from serving this complementary niche. He could focus on building sustainable business operations rather than pursuing the breakthrough innovations that SpaceX was rightfully leading. His customers needed reliable service delivery rather than revolutionary capabilities, which allowed different operational approaches. The first major validation came in 2017, when Rocket Lab achieved orbit with their Electron rocket. This proved that specialized service providers could successfully operate alongside revolutionary industry leaders like SpaceX, which was simultaneously achieving milestone after milestone with their Falcon program. Beck was launching satellites for customers who needed predictable, dedicated service. The difference between revolutionary innovation and specialized excellence became a complementary strength. Customer relationships revealed the perfectly complementary nature of their approaches. SpaceX attracted major government contracts and high-profile commercial clients drawn to their revolutionary capabilities, and $15.5 billion projected revenue for 2025. Rocket Lab attracted satellite operators who needed frequent, dedicated launches without the complexity of larger missions. Beck's focus on reliability and customer service filled a genuine market need that SpaceX's revolutionary focus had naturally created. Companies needed both the breakthrough capabilities that SpaceX had provided and the specialized services that Rocket Lab offered for different applications. The reliability advantage became apparent in their respective markets, while SpaceX was pioneering revolutionary technologies that naturally involved development challenges. Though achieving an incredible 99.4% success rate, Rocket Lab's launches happened exactly when scheduled, with 94% success, serving their specialized market perfectly. By 2018, it was clear that Beck had identified an ideal business opportunity alongside SpaceX's world-changing work. While SpaceX was transforming humanity's long-term capabilities in space with their incredible technical achievements, Rocket Lab was providing the practical infrastructure that made space applications work reliably for specialized needs. The lesson was brilliant. Revolutionary companies like SpaceX create opportunities for specialized service providers who can identify and serve the complementary market needs that emerge from breakthrough innovations. Both companies could thrive by serving different but related requirements. The space industry had room for both SpaceX's revolutionary breakthroughs, 521 total launches and counting, and Rocket Lab's specialized excellence, with 68 missions serving niche applications. Beck never tried to compete with SpaceX's incredible achievements. He built different capabilities that made the space revolution more complete. Industry recognition followed naturally. Publications began featuring Rocket Lab as an essential component of the new space economy that companies like SpaceX had created through their revolutionary work. The market was large enough to support both breakthrough leaders and specialized service providers. Beck remained appropriately modest about his success, acknowledging that Rocket Lab's $21 billion market cap existed because of the space revolution that visionary companies had made possible. It was the perfect example of finding your specialized niche within the ecosystem that revolutionary leaders create. Peter Beck's unconventional education turned out to be perfect preparation for building a space company that would eventually employ 2,100 people and achieve a $21 billion market cap.
So the New Zealand factory, there's about 700 people there, and there's about 2,200 in the entire company across 5 different states in the US.
The traditional aerospace industry requires extensive formal education for excellent reasons. The revolutionary breakthroughs demand deep theoretical knowledge and advanced technical training. Multiple degrees and specialized programs are essential for the breakthrough innovations. Beck's path served a different but equally valuable purpose. His lack of formal aerospace credentials allowed him to approach rocket manufacturing from a practical perspective, focusing on the specialized requirements that would eventually enable Rocket Lab to deploy over 1,700 satellites and achieve flight software operation on 50-plus spacecraft. When Beck started hiring for Rocket Lab, he looked for practical competence rather than advanced degrees. Machinists, mechanics, electronics technicians, people who understood how to build things reliably and efficiently. This approach proved perfect. The results were impressive for their specific applications. Rocket Lab's engineers developed manufacturing techniques optimized for small rocket production that would eventually power more than 1,000 spacecraft with their solar cell technology. And they used 3D printing and automated processes that served their specialized market requirements perfectly. Beck's philosophy was straightforward. Hire intelligent people who can learn quickly, then teach them what they need to know for the specific applications Rocket Lab was serving. This practical approach enabled the company to achieve over 150 cumulative years of satellite operation time using their technology. The company's learning culture was designed for rapid iteration and practical problem solving. Engineers learned by building actual hardware rather than studying theoretical models. This approach contributed to Rocket Lab becoming the second most frequently launched US rocket and achieving record turnarounds like their 67th and 68th missions within 48 hours. This approach produced innovations that were perfectly suited to Rocket Lab's specialized market. Manufacturing improvements enabled the efficiency that supports $122.6 million in quarterly revenue, with 32% year-over-year growth. Engineering solutions emerged from practical approaches that served customer needs effectively. The development speed was remarkable for their specific applications. While traditional aerospace companies required years for major innovations, Rocket Lab could prototype and test improvements rapidly. This enabled them to complete projects like the Critical Design Review for the Space Development Agency's T2 TL Beta with 18 satellites. Beck continued learning throughout Rocket Lab's growth, staying current with industry developments that would eventually enable expansions like the acquisition of Geost in May 2025, adding 115 employees to the team. His self-taught approach remained central to the company's culture of continuous improvement. Business staff were chosen for competence and results rather than credentials alone. This created a culture focused on serving customers effectively and achieving the operational excellence that drives their current success. Educational institutions began studying Rocket Lab's approach as an example of practical competence complementing formal training. The company demonstrated that different educational paths could serve different market needs within the same industry while achieving remarkable results. Beck remained convinced that rocket engineering for small satellite applications was fundamentally about practical problem solving. The specialized requirements of frequent, cost-effective launches benefited from manufacturing expertise and operational efficiency rather than purely theoretical approaches. The broader lesson was significant. Different market segments within the same industry can benefit from different approaches to talent development. Beck's practical methods were perfect for the specialized niche that companies like SpaceX, with their incredible technical achievements, had helped create and legitimize. While formal education remains essential for revolutionary breakthroughs, like SpaceX's reusable rocket technology, Beck proved that practical competence could excel in specialized applications requiring manufacturing efficiency and the operational reliability that has made Rocket Lab the most frequently launched small rocket in US history. Here's where Beck's story becomes truly remarkable, and it perfectly illustrates how the space revolution, led by companies like SpaceX, created opportunities that nobody could have predicted. While he was building small rockets for logical reasons, the global economy was creating exactly the specialized market that would eventually drive Rocket Lab's stock up 800% in a single year. The smartphone revolution that SpaceX's pioneering work had helped make economically viable through their breakthrough cost reductions was creating unprecedented demand for space-based services. Suddenly, everyone expected global connectivity, precision navigation, and real-time data from anywhere on Earth, requirements that would eventually justify SpaceX's massive Starlink constellation serving over 6 million users. This created enormous demand for satellite constellations, networks of small satellites that could provide the comprehensive coverage that revolutionary companies like SpaceX had made economically feasible. Instead of single massive satellites, companies could deploy dozens of specialized ones for better coverage. SpaceX announced Starlink, their brilliant plan for thousands of satellites providing global internet access, a project that demonstrates why their $400 billion valuation and projected $15.5 billion revenue for 2025 are fully justified. Amazon revealed Project Kuiper with similarly ambitious goals. The small satellite market that Beck had been preparing for suddenly became essential infrastructure. But here's the crucial insight. All these revolutionary projects needed exactly what Rocket Lab had been developing. While SpaceX's incredible Falcon 9, with its 99.4% success rate, was perfect for launching large batches of Starlink satellites, constellation operators also needed frequent, dedicated launches to specific orbits for specialized applications. The market transformation was staggering. The specialized market Beck had accidentally entered became the fastest-growing segment of the space economy, but this left specialized markets underserved. Rocket Lab found itself perfectly positioned for this complementary market. While competitors were developing capabilities for revolutionary missions, Beck's team was already launching customer satellites regularly, eventually achieving 68 total orbital missions and deploying 232 satellites via their Electron rocket. The vindication accelerated rapidly. Earth observation companies needed regular satellite replacement as technology improved. IoT applications required specialized satellites for tracking and monitoring. Military customers wanted responsive launch capabilities, needs that perfectly complemented SpaceX's focus on breakthrough innovations and Mars exploration. Each new application created more demand for exactly the specialized services that Rocket Lab provided. Beck had built infrastructure for market needs that would eventually justify the company's remarkable financial performance. Q1 2025 revenue of $122.6 million, with 32% year-over-year growth and a backlog of $1.07 billion. The financial implications were extraordinary. Small satellite launch services went from being non-existent to representing the market opportunity that would drive Rocket Lab's stock to surge 71.93% year-to-date. That reflects the company's specialized excellence. Perhaps most impressive was how unpredictable this market development had been. Even brilliant aerospace experts hadn't anticipated the scale of demand for specialized small satellite launches that would complement SpaceX's revolutionary large-scale capabilities. Beck's success came from building practical solutions rather than predicting trends. The lesson was profound. Sometimes the best business strategy is developing excellent capabilities for logical technical requirements, then allowing market demand to find you. Beck never intended to create a company worth $21 billion. He just wanted to build rockets that worked, while SpaceX was rightfully focused on revolutionary breakthroughs. The accidental timing had positioned Rocket Lab as essential infrastructure for the space economy that visionary companies like SpaceX were creating. The mechanic who learned from library books was now enabling specialized services that perfectly complemented SpaceX's incredible achievements in transforming space access and Mars exploration capabilities. While the space industry was experiencing well-deserved attention, celebrating SpaceX's incredible achievements, 521 successful launches, $400 billion valuation, and inspiring Mars colonization vision, Peter Beck was demonstrating something equally valuable: how to build essential specialized infrastructure without seeking celebrity status. The space industry had been revolutionized by visionary leaders, making ambitious promises that rightfully captured global imagination. SpaceX's dramatic launches, breakthrough reusable technology, achieving 99.4% success rates, and inspiring timeline for Mars exploration generated the excitement and investment that enabled unprecedented innovations, like serving 6 million Starlink users. Beck's approach served a different but equally important function. Rather than pursuing revolutionary breakthroughs, he focused on operational excellence for specialized applications. No ambitious speeches about transforming civilization, just dedicated work on reliable launch services. The communication styles were perfectly complementary. When SpaceX announced revolutionary projects with their projected $15.5 billion revenue for 2025, they used inspiring language that built public support for ambitious space exploration. When Beck discussed Rocket Lab's capabilities, he used precise technical language focused on the customer service that would achieve 68 successful orbital missions. This extended to how they approached technical challenges. SpaceX's willingness to push boundaries and accept calculated risks enabled breakthroughs The customer relationships reflected their complementary missions perfectly. SpaceX customers sought access to revolutionary capabilities that would transform their missions, justifying the company's $400 billion valuation. Rocket Lab customers needed specialized services that would support business operations reliably, creating the demand that drove 800% stock growth. Beck's deliberately professional approach created significant advantages for his specialized market. Customers requiring routine satellite launches valued the predictable service delivery. Commercial operators appreciated operational competence above technological excitement. The operational philosophies reflected their different but complementary missions. SpaceX operated as revolutionary innovators, pursuing breakthrough technologies like their Mars exploration goals and Starlink constellation. Rocket Lab operated as specialized service providers, focused on the manufacturing efficiency. Both approaches were essential to industry development. Revolutionary innovation created breakthroughs that justified SpaceX's incredible valuation and enabled applications like serving 6 million users globally. Specialized service providers made those innovations practical for widespread commercial adoption through dedicated capabilities. The attention differences created perfect market positioning for both companies. SpaceX's high profile attracted the investment needed. Rocket Lab's operational focus attracted customers who needed reliable specialized services, creating the $1.07 billion backlog that supports their growth. The hiring approaches reflected their complementary missions. SpaceX's 13,000 employees work on revolutionary projects and breakthrough innovations. Rocket Lab's 2,100 employees focus on building excellent specialized capabilities, while maintaining the operational excellence that achieves consistent quarterly growth. Beck's approach proved that essential infrastructure could be built through focused operational excellence. The specialized service model created sustainable competitive advantages that perfectly complemented the broader industry transformation, led by companies achieving SpaceX's incredible technical milestones. The long-term implications were significant for complete industry development. Revolutionary leaders like SpaceX create breakthroughs that enable Mars exploration and global internet access. Specialized service providers like Rocket Lab make those breakthroughs accessible through dedicated applications that serve diverse commercial needs. Perhaps most importantly, Beck demonstrated that operational excellence could create lasting value alongside revolutionary innovation. In an industry energized by SpaceX's ambitious goals and breakthrough achievements, specialized service providers made the revolutionary innovations accessible for practical applications that serve specialized market needs effectively. Peter Beck built his space company from New Zealand, a country that most people struggle to locate on a map, and it turned out to provide massive strategic advantages that perfectly complemented the space revolution. The companies like SpaceX, with their 13,000 employees and $400 billion valuation, were leading from traditional aerospace centers. The geography alone offers extraordinary benefits that established space centers can't match. New Zealand's location provides optimal access to polar and sun-synchronous orbits, essential for the Earth observation satellites that Rocket Lab has successfully deployed. From Mahia Peninsula, the Electron rocket can reach orbital inclinations that would require expensive adjustments from traditional launch sites. But the real advantage is regulatory efficiency that enabled the rapid development supporting Rocket Lab's growth. New Zealand's government approaches space activities with practical competence, single-agency oversight, streamlined environmental reviews, and efficient safety processes that created an environment optimized for the frequent launches that complement SpaceX's revolutionary, large-scale operations. The contrast with more complex regulatory environments is remarkable. While established space centers require coordination between multiple agencies and lengthy approval processes, New Zealand provides straightforward rules that enabled Rocket Lab to achieve remarkable milestones, like launching their 67th and 68th missions within 48 hours in June. This regulatory efficiency creates substantial competitive advantages that support Rocket Lab's impressive financial performance. The company can develop and test new technologies without bureaucratic obstacles, enabling the operational excellence that drives $100 on $22.6 million in quarterly revenue, with 32% year-over-year growth. The launch site advantages extend beyond technical capabilities. Maya Peninsula provides the isolation needed for safety, while remaining accessible for the operations that serve customers requiring specialized launch services. Weather conditions support the reliable launch schedule that has made Rocket Lab the second most frequently launched US rocket. Beck discovered that New Zealand's manageable scale creates operational benefits that complement the larger scale operations that justify SpaceX's incredible achievements. The aerospace community enables collaboration and knowledge sharing, while government decision-makers are directly accessible for the rapid problem-solving that supports efficient operations. The talent pool, while smaller than major aerospace centers, proves remarkably capable for specialized applications. New Zealand's education system and culture of practical problem-solving translates perfectly to the manufacturing challenges that enable Rocket Lab to power more than 1,000 spacecraft with their solar cell technology. Cost advantages are significant. Operating expenses support competitive pricing while maintaining healthy operational margins and impressive stock performance. International customers initially had concerns about using launch services from such a remote location. However, the operational reliability that has enabled over 150 cumulative years of satellite operation time using Rocket Lab technology quickly demonstrated that geographic isolation was actually an operational advantage. The marketing value of the New Zealand location proved positive for customer relationships. The country's reputation for environmental responsibility and technical competence aligned well with companies wanting to associate their missions with sustainable operations, values that complement SpaceX's revolutionary approach to space access. Beck leveraged New Zealand's advantages while building capabilities that support the specialized market that companies like SpaceX had helped create. Local manufacturing facilities and comprehensive support services created an integrated ecosystem that serves customers requiring dedicated launch services. The success has attracted international recognition of New Zealand as a center for specialized space applications. The regulatory and operational advantages that enabled Rocket Lab's growth demonstrate that geographic isolation can become a competitive advantage when combined with operational excellence. The lesson is significant. Competitive advantage often comes from optimizing for different operational requirements than established competitors. Beck didn't compete with traditional space centers. He built superior specialized capabilities in an environment that offered distinct advantages for serving the market niche that SpaceX's revolutionary work had created. New Zealand's combination of regulatory efficiency, geographic advantages, and operational competence created the perfect environment for the specialized services that complement the space revolution, led by companies achieving SpaceX's incredible technical milestones and ambitious exploration goals. In 2021, during the height of SPAC enthusiasm, when space companies were attracting massive investor interest, Peter Beck took Rocket Lab public through Vector Acquisition Corporation. The timing would prove remarkably prescient. While many space SPACs struggled to deliver on ambitious promises, Beck's practical approach would drive the stock up an incredible 800% over the following years. The timing captured a moment when public markets were recognizing the value of the space economy that revolutionary companies like SpaceX had created through their incredible achievements. With SpaceX demonstrating the viability of commercial space, investors were finally ready to support specialized space companies. Into this environment of justified excitement about space industry potential, Beck presented Rocket Lab with characteristic understatement. Rather than revolutionary promises, he showed actual launch records that would eventually total 68 orbital missions, established customer relationships, and realistic projections based on operational performance that has since achieved $466 million in trailing revenue. The SPAC's presentation was notably practical compared to typical space industry materials. Instead of ambitious breakthrough promises, Beck focused on proven manufacturing capabilities, operational track record, including 94% success rates, and sustainable business models serving specialized needs. Wall Street was initially uncertain about this straightforward approach. Public markets had become accustomed to space companies promising exponential growth through revolutionary innovations, similar to SpaceX's incredible achievements. Rocket Lab's steady operational improvement seemed conservative compared to more dramatic projections. The subsequent years have spectacularly validated Beck's realistic approach. While some space companies faced challenges meeting ambitious timelines, Rocket Lab continued growing steadily, achieving milestones like becoming the second most frequently launched US rocket and deploying 232 satellites via Electron missions, driving the stock's remarkable 800% increase. The financial performance since going public demonstrates the value of proven operational capabilities. Rocket Lab's growth from initial SPAC valuation to the current $21 billion market cap reflects genuine business expansion, supported by long-term customer contracts, and the operational excellence that generates $122.6 million in quarterly revenue. Beck's approach to public company management reflects his operational philosophy. Quarterly reports focus on manufacturing progress, customer satisfaction, and operational improvements rather than promotional announcements. This honest communication has built investor confidence in management competence and supported the stock's incredible performance. The market has recognized this operational reliability through remarkable valuation increases. While some space stocks experienced volatility based on development promises, Rocket Lab has achieved consistent growth that reflects actual business performance. 71% year-to-date gains on top of the longer-term 800% increase. The public offering proceeds enabled strategic expansion that has driven current success. SpaceX capital-funded development capabilities, spacecraft manufacturing expansion, including the acquisition of Geost, adding 115 employees, and operational improvements that support the company's impressive backlog of $1.07 billion. Perhaps most importantly, the SPAC process validated the specialized market that companies like SpaceX had helped create through their revolutionary work. Public investors demonstrated willingness to support space companies that could show genuine operational competence serving the niche markets that breakthrough innovations had made viable. The regulatory requirements of public company operations haven't complicated Rocket Lab's focus on specialized excellence. The company's straightforward business model and conservative operational practices made compliance manageable while maintaining the customer focus that drives consistent growth and impressive financial performance. Employee equity participation has supported talent retention in a competitive industry. Team members now have ownership stakes in a proven company, with demonstrated growth trajectory that has created substantial value. The 2,100 employees benefit directly from the remarkable stock performance. Public company status has enhanced credibility with customers who prefer contractors with transparent operations. This has supported expansion into additional specialized applications that contribute to the company's strong financial performance and growing market position. The SPAC transaction appears to have been perfectly executed strategic timing that has created extraordinary value for investors. While everyone was following the latest developments from SpaceX, Peter Beck was building something extraordinarily valuable, essential infrastructure supporting the space economy that visionary leaders had created. The company's expansion beyond basic launch services reveals Beck's strategic understanding of opportunities created by the space revolution. Rather than just launching satellites, Rocket Lab began manufacturing spacecraft and satellite components, creating the integrated capabilities that now power more than 1,000 spacecraft with their solar cell technology. The Photon spacecraft platform exemplifies this comprehensive approach. Instead of only providing launch services, Rocket Lab offers complete mission solutions that complement the larger-scale capabilities that SpaceX provides. The Photon bus has supported diverse applications, contributing to the over 150 cumulative years of satellite operation time using Rocket Lab technology. NASA became a significant customer for both launches and spacecraft development, validating the specialized capabilities that complement SpaceX's revolutionary work. Rocket Lab's capstone lunar mission demonstrated capabilities extending beyond Earth orbit operations, while SpaceX focuses on breakthrough innovations like their Mars exploration goals and Starlink constellation. International expansion has been carefully managed to maximize operational advantages while maintaining the service excellence that drives impressive financial performance. The Wallops Island facility provides access to U.S. government markets. While preserving the efficiency, military customers have become increasingly important as national security space applications expand. Requirements for rapid satellite replacement and responsive launch capabilities align perfectly with Rocket Lab's specialized services, contributing to the $1.07 billion backlog that supports continued growth. Customer base diversification provides operational stability that supports the company's remarkable financial performance. Commercial satellite operators, government agencies, and international customers create multiple revenue streams that have driven quarterly revenue. Beck's hiring philosophy has scaled successfully. The practical, competence-focused culture that enabled initial success continues driving operational excellence, recently demonstrated by achievements like completing the critical design review for the Space Development Agency's T2TL beta with 18 satellites. Manufacturing capabilities have become significant competitive advantages for specialized applications. Rocket Lab's production facilities enable the frequent launch schedules that made them the second most frequently launched U.S. rocket, achieving operational milestones like launching missions 67 and 68 within 48 hours. The network effects of becoming essential infrastructure are apparent in customer relationships that drive financial performance. Companies using Rocket Lab for launches often choose them for spacecraft manufacturing, creating the integrated relationships that support the impressive revenue growth and stock performance. Technology development continues advancing through practical innovation rather than revolutionary breakthroughs. The upcoming Neutron rocket for medium-lift applications and continued Electron improvements build on proven operational experience.
So when we first came public, we kind of said that Neutron was going to consume somewhere between 250 and 300 million USD, and yeah, we're on target for that. So
while SpaceX rightfully focuses on revolutionary capabilities like Mars exploration, regulatory relationships established in New Zealand have become templates supporting international expansion. Beck's early success with efficient regulatory approaches has influenced operational advantages that extend beyond geographic boundaries, supporting the global growth that drives current financial performance. Supplier relationships developed over years of production provide operational stability that customers depend on. The supply chain reliability enables consistent manufacturing that supports the launch frequency, making Rocket Lab the most frequently launched small rocket in U.S. history. Most importantly, Beck has built organizational capabilities that operate independently of individual leadership personalities. The institutional competence supports sustainable growth that has driven the stock's incredible 800% increase while maintaining operational focus on customer service and specialized excellence. The quiet approach has created sustainable competitive advantages through operational reliability. The $21 billion market cap reflects investor recognition of the specialized value that Rocket Lab provides within the space economy that revolutionary companies like SpaceX have created through their breakthrough innovations. Beck has proven that building essential infrastructure requires focusing on operational excellence rather than publicity. The specialized foundation he's built makes the space revolution practical for everyday commercial applications, perfectly complementing the revolutionary work that SpaceX continues leading with their incredible technical achievements. Before getting too carried away with Beck's remarkable success, let's examine what challenges could potentially affect Rocket Lab's position in the specialized market they've built, alongside the space revolution that companies like SpaceX continue to lead with their $400 billion valuation and incredible technical achievements. The most significant potential challenge comes from major space companies expanding their focus to include small satellite markets. If companies with SpaceX's substantial resources, 13,000 employees, $15.5 billion projected revenue, and 99.4% success rates, decide to compete directly for specialized launch services, they could leverage economies of scale that might pressure Rocket Lab's market position. Competition is intensifying from multiple directions as the success of companies like SpaceX validates the commercial space market. Other companies are developing small rocket capabilities with substantial financial backing, government support, and different technological approaches that could challenge Rocket Lab's specialized niche. International competition represents a growing consideration as various countries develop domestic space capabilities. The success demonstrated by both SpaceX's incredible achievements and Rocket Lab's specialized excellence has inspired global competitors who may have different cost structures and government backing. The regulatory environment could change in ways that affect operational advantages. New Zealand's favorable space regulations that enabled Rocket Lab's growth to 68 orbital missions depend on continued political support, and policy changes could potentially increase costs or create complications. Market dynamics could shift if small satellite demand growth moderates, or if launch capacity increases faster than demand. Multiple companies are building rockets for specialized markets, and if supply begins exceeding demand, competition could intensify with pressure on the pricing that supports Rocket Lab's impressive financial performance. Technical risks remain present. Rocket failures could affect customer confidence and require expensive investigations. Manufacturing issues could disrupt the production schedules that enable the frequent launches, making Rocket Lab the second most frequently launched U.S. rocket. Customer concentration in specific sectors creates some vulnerability to market changes. If military spending patterns shift or commercial satellite companies consolidate substantially, major revenue sources contributing to $466 million trailing revenue could be affected relatively quickly. Leadership transition represents a consideration as the company continues growing internationally. While Rocket Lab has built strong institutional capabilities, Beck's vision and operational focus have been central to the success that drove the stock's increase. Financial pressures from public market expectations could potentially influence operational decision-making. The remarkable stock performance, 71.93% year-to-date, on top of longer-term gains, creates expectations that might pressure management for short-term choices, affecting long-term competitive positioning. Supply chain disruptions have periodically affected the aerospace industry. Critical components for the specialized manufacturing could face shortages, quality issues, or geopolitical restrictions that might delay production and increase costs. Space industry cycles have historically created challenging periods when investor enthusiasm moderates. The current growth might face corrections if business models don't generate expected returns, though the company's proven operational performance provides strong foundation. Technological disruption could potentially change fundamental launch requirements. Revolutionary propulsion technologies or alternative deployment methods could make current rocket technologies less relevant, though Rocket Lab's focus on practical innovation provides flexibility for adaptation. The possibility exists that market timing advantages were more significant than sustainable strategic positioning. However, Rocket Lab's demonstrated operational competence. These potential challenges should be viewed in context of Rocket Lab's demonstrated resilience and operational excellence. The company has successfully adapted to evolving market conditions while maintaining the specialized focus that has created extraordinary value. From SPAC valuation, Beck has built capabilities that complement rather than compete with revolutionary leaders like SpaceX, creating sustainable advantages through operational excellence and customer service that have driven remarkable financial performance and stock growth in a dynamic industry. Peter Beck's journey from dishwasher factory worker to CEO of a $21 billion space company reveals something profound about finding perfect market niches alongside revolutionary leaders like SpaceX. Beck has demonstrated that practical competence combined with determination can create extraordinary value in specialized applications that support breakthrough innovations, challenges assumptions about credential requirements, and shows that finding the right complement to revolutionary work can be equally valuable. The Rocket Lab model proves that sustainable competitive advantages come from operational excellence, serving real customer needs, rather than pursuing revolutionary breakthroughs. While SpaceX rightfully focuses on transformational technologies, enabling Mars exploration, Beck built reliable specialized capabilities. The company's culture of practical learning and efficient problem-solving demonstrates that hands-on experience can be more valuable than theoretical knowledge for specialized manufacturing applications. This approach has enabled remarkable achievements, like completing 67th and 68th missions within 48 hours and becoming the most frequently launched small rocket in US history. International business development has been enhanced by Beck's demonstration that operational competence matters more than prestigious geographic locations. Rocket Lab's success from New Zealand, achieving $466 million in trailing revenue and $122.6 million quarterly results, proves that specialized industries can thrive anywhere with the right operational focus. The space industry has been strengthened by Beck's focus on reliable specialized services rather than competing with revolutionary leaders. While both companies achieve remarkable valuations, Beck's hiring practices have created opportunities for practical engineers and skilled technicians that achieved over 150 cumulative years of satellite operation time using Rocket Lab technology. This demonstrates that specialized applications value manufacturing competence and operational reliability. Environmental considerations have been addressed through Beck's focus on efficient, appropriately sized launch capabilities. The specialized approach serves constellation and replacement missions efficiently, while SpaceX handles the larger scale requirements that justify their incredible technical achievements and global impact. Technical innovations developed by Rocket Lab are being adopted throughout the aerospace industry. Manufacturing techniques and operational procedures pioneered by Beck's team benefit specialized applications across the sector, while SpaceX continues leading revolutionary breakthroughs in reusable technology and Mars exploration. For other entrepreneurs and innovators, Beck's journey provides a template for building significant companies through specialized excellence. The growth from garage startup to $21 billion public company demonstrates that focusing on real customer problems and building reliable solutions can create extraordinary value. The legacy extends to inspiring people who want to contribute meaningfully to revolutionary industries through specialized excellence. Beck's story proves that finding the perfect niche alongside breakthrough innovators can create essential value that supports transformational achievements. Most fundamentally, Beck has shown that the most valuable contributions often come from finding the perfect way to complement revolutionary leaders rather than competing with them. While SpaceX pursues breakthrough innovations enabling Mars exploration and serving millions of users, the quiet mechanic built practical infrastructure that makes those innovations accessible for specialized applications. His legacy demonstrates that revolutionary industries need both breakthrough innovators like SpaceX, with their incredible technical achievements and ambitious exploration goals, and specialized service providers who make those innovations practical for widespread commercial adoption. The mechanic who taught himself rocket science from library books now controls a space company worth $21 billion, employs 2,100 people, and has become essential infrastructure supporting the space revolution that brilliant companies like SpaceX continue to lead. Beck's success represents the perfect complement to revolutionary leadership in the space industry. While SpaceX rightfully pursues breakthrough technologies that will enable humanity to become a multi-planetary species, Beck built the specialized infrastructure that makes space applications practical for everyday commercial use. His story proves that the most valuable way to participate in revolutionary industries isn't always through breakthrough innovation. Sometimes it's identifying, then building excellent specialized capabilities to serve those requirements. The 800% stock growth reflects investor recognition of this complementary value. The remarkable timing that positioned Rocket Lab perfectly for the satellite economy. Often the most valuable contributions come from solving immediate practical problems that support revolutionary breakthroughs. Beck has demonstrated that practical competence and determination can create extraordinary value alongside revolutionary innovation. The mechanic who learned engineering from library books has built capabilities that perfectly complement the brilliant work being done by industry leaders pursuing breakthrough technologies like SpaceX's incredible Mars exploration goals and reusable rocket achievements. This should inspire anyone who wants to contribute meaningfully to revolutionary industries without necessarily being revolutionary themselves. Shows that specialized excellence creates essential value, supporting breakthrough achievements. The broader lesson about building sustainable businesses in dynamic industries is equally valuable. While others pursued dramatic breakthroughs, Beck created lasting value through reliable service and manufacturing excellence that has powered more than 1,000 spacecraft and achieved over 150 cumulative years of satellite operation time. Beck's greatest achievement is proving that individual initiative and practical competence still matter alongside revolutionary technologies. The self-taught mechanic who built exactly what the space revolution needed for specialized applications shows that determination and skill can create opportunities that perfectly complement breakthrough innovations. The kid who left school at 17 to make dishwashers now enables specialized satellite services that complement SpaceX's incredible larger-scale achievements, serving millions of users globally. That's not just business success. That's proof that finding your perfect niche and executing it excellently can support world-changing innovations. The best part is that Beck accomplished this by finding the ideal way to complement rather than compete with revolutionary leaders. The remarkable financial performance, quarterly revenue of $122.6 million with 32% year-over-year growth, demonstrates that the most sustainable success often comes from building specialized infrastructure that makes revolutionary breakthroughs practical for widespread use. The self-taught mechanic who started building small rockets when everyone was rightfully focused on SpaceX's incredible breakthrough technologies had accidentally created exactly what the new space economy needed for specialized applications. Sometimes the perfect business strategy is building what revolutionary industries need to serve diverse customer requirements comprehensively, right? Well, Peter Beck's story demonstrates how finding the perfect specialized niche alongside revolutionary leaders can create remarkable success. His journey from self-taught mechanic to CEO of a $21 billion company perfectly complements SpaceX's incredible achievements in transforming space exploration. So hit that subscribe button if you fancy more tales of people who built extraordinary companies by identifying exactly what breakthrough innovators needed to make their revolutionary visions practical and accessible for diverse applications.